Okay. A beautiful evening to everyone from home and abroad, as usual. Thank you so much for joining in. For everyone who has joined in, we're having some little noise. Let me sort that out. Okay. Please just try to keep your background a bit, mute your background a little bit, so we'll just have a decent conversation. So usually what I do is I have these programs I record at times, and then um, I, I I didn't want to do a recording since if we finish, it will definitely be up live for the next few days. So I decided, okay, we could just do it live immediately. So my name is Wisdom Obina, and I do have some very some very crucial journalists in my country, in Nigeria, and we will definitely be looking at the World Cup. We've had a fantastic run so far in the tournament. It's been a brilliant sail for some teams. Some teams have been able to navigate their way through. Some are falling on the wayside, like the proverbial in the holy books. The seeds that fell by the wayside. But it's been a very decent tournament so far. We've seen some surprises already. Some teams have been able to also do push above their weight, like Morocco, for example. And we've also seen records set, some records broken. I mean, Gavi is actually now okay since Pele in 1958. Gavi, 17 years, 900 and something days or thereabout. Set that record at least in the time being for his run in the tournament and his age and everything, and being one of the youngest to participate in a World Cup at that stage. So welcome, guys. I do have. Let me start. Okay, by my. By the way, it's set on the screen. Some are also trying to settle in issues with network and all that. So reliable reliance, the classical gentleman, is in the building. Let me allow him to introduce himself. Reliance, good evening to you. You can unmute. Reliance, we can hear you, Reliance. Welcome. Can you hear me?
Thank you very much, Wisdom Obina. Good evening to you and also the guys on the call. Good evening to all of you. Yeah, I'm speaking. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm speaking. I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. Can't you hear me?
Yeah, okay. I guess it's just a little bit
Can you hear
slow.
me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you. It was a bit slow. But I also have we can hear you. We can hear you. It's good. It's okay. I also have Victoria here. Victor, I don't know if he's still there. Victor, you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Good evening to you, Wisdom, and to everyone. Good evening. Welcome. My name is Victoria. They know me as the favorite melanin sports presenter. It's great to be here.
Amazing. Like I said, some are still battling with their network, but President KJ, the only president of sports that was not elected. President, President, good evening.
Good evening, Obina the Superman. This is President KJ, the Pereira one of sports. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for having me. Yes, and I'm excited to be here. Good morning, good evening, guys. I love to have an exciting conversation with you all. Thank you.
Right. Hey, that's nice. I didn't know that name, so I probably didn't. Sorry, I didn't mention at the
Yeah,
beginning. Well,
yeah.
guys, let's get straight into it. Your general perception. I'll start with Reliance. Your general perception of the tournament so far. Before the tournament, we had issues of racism, LGBT issues, the rules and regulations in Qatar. Are they going to allow everybody have fun and all that and all that? But let me get your view. Some were saying it's going to be a boring tournament, knowing for sure that we had the league season, some leagues, just a week difference between the league and the World Cup. So some were saying players will be too tired, it will be boring. But then here we are. Get your perception of the tournament so far.
Well, I think the tournament has been. I don't know if you can hear me before I
We can
progress,
hear
just
you.
to make sure I can be heard. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. So I think the tournament has been quite interesting. Wisdom. It's far from anything boring. It's an exciting World Cup that we are having in Qatar, despite the controversies that were earlier reported. Talks about exclusion of the LGBTQ community, talks about human rights issues in Qatar, which is more or less a problem that's generally seen in the Middle East. Talks about a lot of things, and even some countries reported that their fans will not be following up the World Cup. They will not be going over there because of Qatar and issues and all of that. So despite the controversy, wisdom, I think it's one of the best World Cup we've seen so far. I listened to Gianni Infantino, the president of FIFA, just a couple of minutes ago before coming on to this call, where he described the group stage as the best group stage so far in World Cup history, even though that's arguable. But in general, wisdom, it has been a very exciting World Cup. Look at the stadia. We have fans turning up in their numbers, and look at the performances of African nations, even though we have just one at the quarterfinal at this point. But I mean, look at the upset we saw in match day one at the group stage. That's the first group games. The upset we saw, Saudi Arabia against Argentina, Japan against Germany. Some of the nations that you wouldn't ordinarily expect them to perform at the highest level has been performing at the highest level. So the tournament has been quite exciting. Wisdom. I miss being in Qatar. I should have been there to enjoy the tournament firsthand. But no thanks to the Super Eagles' inability to qualify. I think Nigerians miss the action on the aspect of their own team. Their own national team is not there. But all in all, wisdom, it has been a very exciting World Cup. And despite the controversies, I think we are enjoying the best of football over there in Qatar.
Amazing, amazing. Let me head straight to Victor. Victoria, can you hear me? Okay, while we wait for Victor, Henry, you can go ahead.
Wisdom, can
Yeah,
you hear me?
good
Okay,
evening,
okay,
Wisdom, and good evening to all,
okay. Go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, and good evening to all the other speakers here. Concerning the World Cup in Qatar, let's just call it one to remember for years to come. Because I mean, you have to look at the performances, the shocks, and everything, even the controversies leading up to the whole World Cup. Like Reliance, they talk about LGBTQ and about the controversy about shifting the date of the World Cup and not as usual as we've known in the past. This World Cup in they have a winter World Cup. Everybody talking about World Cup and the issues when it came to awarding of rights to Qatar for the World Cup. I think looking at the whole World Cup, it's been a phenomenon. It's been an interesting one. You can underline it or term it the World Cup of the underdogs because you want to look at how certain teams have come to the big stage and stepped up. Some not much of a shock, like when you look at what Japan did do this World Cup. I mean, you want to look back at what they did in 2018, how fantastic they were. And nearly kicked out Belgium, just I think inexperience and we just say combination of a lot of factors just made it sleep or they let it sleep against Belgium in the round of 2018 in Russia. But I mean, they came to Qatar, did beat Spain, did beat Germany, and almost caused an upset against Croatia. At the point they had Croatia saddled and pegged back. You also look at Saudi Arabia. I mean, as much as they didn't cross the group, but they don't get results against Mexico and Poland. You have to say that their performances were very encouraging and the results against Argentina, I think that's one of the biggest upsets you ever see in the World Cup. I think generally the World Cup has been fun. Moving on the side of the Japanese fans and their usual clean and positive attitude no matter the situation, and how well they've acclimatized themselves. I know there were a lot of controversies, a lot of issues building in community support. I think it's been fantastic. Like Infantino said, the best group stages and probably one of the best World Cups we ever seen. Remember, the upsets have been immense. The goals have been coming in, and I think we've seen some stars born on the bigger stage. The likes of Jude Bellingham, a lot of people like, oh, he's just a man making waves in the Bundesliga. Will he be able to lead that like a million stars? I think this World Cup is going to remember, and it's fantastic. I think this World Cup will be one to remember, and it's fantastic. I hope that we get more like this in the future, and we get more like this. But for now,
Okay. I mean, the background is a bit noisy, but
hello.
yeah, we heard you. We got you. The background was a bit noisy, but we got your thoughts. Victor, you can go on now.
All right, thank you so much, Wisdom. Once again, good evening. When you talk about how the competition has been definitely lived up to every expectation. And for all the shenanigans that happened before the World Cup began, the beautiful football that we're experiencing in Qatar has just put that to bed. And Gianni Infantino made a promise, just like Henry Ogugo stated, that he was going to deliver one of the best World Cups, if not the best World Cup the world has ever seen. And with the quality of play, with the fanfare, the buzz around the stadiums, you can definitely say that this World Cup has lived up to every expectation. We've seen the upsets, we've seen the beautiful football, we've seen the Brazilians with the flair, with the finesse. What we would always see, what we would always have in a World Cup. It's been a total package, and the World Cup holding in November, all of those issues surrounding the beginning of the World Cup has definitely been put to bed, and you've got to applaud FIFA President Gianni Infantino for keeping the promise that he made at the start of the competition. Uh, I mean, we're looking forward to how the rest of the tournament is going to go. So far, we've had an exciting round of 16, an impressive group stage, and it's now all attention on the quarterfinals, semis, and also the final to see how far the teams that have performed, how well they will continue to perform.
Okay. Thank you for that one, Victor. Um, President, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. The World Cup Qatar 2022 was shrouded with a lot of contextual issues. Like the other speakers have mentioned, we had political issues. The political undertone was so much, and I think that football won. I say it's a victory for football. This World Cup proves that football is one of the greatest unifiers, in the world. Because people were able to transcend race, tribe, religion, sexual orientation, and so on and so forth, just to enjoy football. People were not interested in others trying to dilute the football for their own personal agenda. And I think that's a victory for the game. That shows that football has a place in the hearts of millions of, and if not billions of people, and that can never change. Then going to the tournament proper, all the also the human rights issues, the political issues. I'm not one to say that we shouldn't care about human rights issues, but we didn't let that dampen the showpiece that when it began up till now. And the showpiece itself has lived up to expectation. The performances have been stellar. We've seen moments. One of my favorite moments for me is Abubakar, getting that red card, and it was. You have moments that you can frame. You can frame myself in history. This happened in 2022 Qatar, and also for me it was the first World Cup in the Middle East. Seeing how a largely non-footballing continent got the opportunity to experience football. Of course, that the Middle East are not the front runners in football world over. but seeing a largely non-footballing continent get the experience to see these superstars, Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Mbappe, and so on and so forth, it's been surreal. And I'm happy the host nation never qualified before, but they got the opportunity to, you could see the hunger. They wanted to play football. And even though they had a shambolic showing, but by and large, this World Cup has been, full of excitement. All the teams, all the upstarters. You have Morocco doing Africa proud. I was wondering what's going on here. What's happening, like Morocco, and everything has been beautiful, and I'm looking forward to. I know the quarterfinals will give us even more excitement, and the semifinals and the finals. So yes, it's been wonderful. Thank you.
Praise Leti is here. Praise, let me get your thoughts on the tournament so far.
I mean, it's been quite fascinating looking at the political angle. It was causing a bit of distraction at the onset, but thankfully that has been erased, and you get to see countries like Germany, which you expect much from. We all know about their technical ability on the ball, but I think they were distracted a little bit by the things that were going on outside the pitch. As Evinga would say, the teams that focused solely on football performed, and he made mention of two teams, France and Brazil. Um, this nation, exactly, Brazil, I think they are talented, no doubt, but this group is quite different from the rest of the groups. Since 2002, we all know Brazil is a football nation. We all know what they can do, but they are different from the rest in the sense that they are not a collective of superstars. They are a collective of talents which are solely taxed on winning only. The mentality of the group changed right from when Tit was introduced into the fold as the gaffer. You have Daniel Alves coming into the squad. A lot of persons mentioned, doubted about his presence, that is going to be one too many star needed in the team. But what he does in the team, what he does in the squad is the reason why Tit um, called him to represent the country. You have a nation like Spain who is having this same issue. They have talented young players, but talent is not enough when you're going for a tournament like this. You need something more. You need to think about the mentality of the group. You need to think about those that have been there, have done it before, to introduce them to the fold that will help you go through challenges. I think anybody can beat Costa Rica. I remember Spain winning 7-0. They were being tipped as the favorite to win the World Cup, but it's beyond that, because the World Cup is in stages. The first game gives you a bit of confidence if you win, but something happens when you don't win the first game. It can be as a platform for you to go far into the tournament. We've seen that with teams. I remember Nigeria beating a certain team in the World Cup, and they went ahead to the quarterfinals and even the semifinals. And we are even thinking Nigeria is going to win the World Cup in that year. You know the year I'm talking about. You know the talented crop of Nigerians I'm talking about. But when Saudi Arabia won against Argentina,
94.
everybody wrote off Argentina. And I saw something with Argentina. They grew in confidence from that win against Mexico. The first game is not good enough. I'm centering on this because Spain suffered this. They've suffered. This is not the first time they are suffering this issue. They've had this issue again. It's repeating itself. It started in 2018. It has repeated itself again. Argentina is looking likely a team that can go all through to the finals. They lost the first game, they won the second one, and the team has been brimming in confidence. Without Lionel Messi, you see others stepping up to the plate. Let me go back to Africa. This particular coach, Walid, who took over the reins of being the Moroccan
Moroccan
national
team.
team
Yeah, yeah,
coach,
yeah.
you know, um, a lot of persons don't know how short a time it was given to prepare this group of boys for the World Cup. This team has impressed. In fact, I didn't give the Africans any chance. I didn't give Cameroon a chance. I didn't give Morocco a chance. I didn't give Tunisia a chance. Tunisia beat France. Cameroon beat Brazil. So you can't say they had a terrible tournament. The Africans, they performed. They have the best defensive record in the tournament so far. They've considered just one goal, just one goal, and that was in the group stages. They have loads of clean sheets. People can criticize their style that they sit back enough a lot, but that's what you need in tournament. You use your best strategy. Everybody's not going to play like Brazil. So I think the World Cup has been very much entertaining, but at the same time, it's been unpredictable. We've seen mistakes from coach not getting it right with the selection, and we've also seen people coming back from a disastrous start like Argentina. So it's an interesting World Cup. Beyond the politics that wanted to cause a little bit of distraction, I think we are in to have a memorable World Cup.
All right, let me head back straight to Reliance. Reliance, which team has impressed you so far in the tournament?
Well, I think I'm going to have to give it to Morocco. Um, Topping the group is something that myself didn't expect. I mean, you're topping a group where we have the second finest team on the planet based on FIFA ranking, Belgium, and they maintain their solidity, and then they top the group. In that same group, I think we equally had Croatia, right, who were the finalists in the last World Cup. So that's the kind of group that Morocco topped, and they did that quite with a level of intensity, a level of um, stamina in all their matches, the energetic football they played. And it's worthy to know that even the single goal Morocco have considered in this match was an own goal. So it's safe to say that no team has scored against Morocco so far this tournament.
Mm.
The big teams ordinarily expect them to do well. Spain started like a house on fire. You thought they were going to win all three matches and secure 9 points. England started like a house on fire. You ordinarily think they were going to win all three matches and secure maximum 9 points. Same with Portugal. You thought they were going to win all three matches and secure 9 points. Brazil, same. But in the end, no team secured maximum points at the group stage. You know, unexpected defeats to Brazil, Morocco, Spain, France, and all. So when you put all of this together, and then you consider the performance of Morocco themselves and the group they found themselves, and what the coach has been doing, and how the players have stepped up. So at each matchup for the Moroccan national team, the approach is different because they understand who they are facing. Play Croatia, goalless draw. They were able to hold Croatia. We saw a fantastic run of 16 match last night between Morocco and Spain. Allow Spain to dominate possession, which you expect them to when you have players like Gavi, Pedri, who are more like products from Barcelona. They are used to that kind of football where possession is the order of the day. But Morocco were more efficient. Each time they are sent forward, they were more efficient. Masrai on the left wing knew what to do. Hakim on the other side knew what to do. Amrabat knew what to do. So these guys played as a chunk, a unit that you found very difficult to break at each match that they played. You know, so they've been quite impressive, honestly speaking. The defense line quite impressive. The midfielders, the defensive midfield, led by Amrabat, quite impressive. You go up front, Hakim Ziyech looks like a different Hakim Ziyech. Of course, club form is different from national team form in most cases, although club form will determine whether you earn a call up or not. But when you're playing with different teammates who you are not playing with week in, week out at your respective club sites, you just have to find a way to adapt. A new coach entirely, a different philosophy entirely, and Akim Ziyech has adapted so well. I think the Moroccan FA will have to beat their hands on their chest and be proud that they made that decision to let the former coach go, who had issues with Akim Ziyech, because that combination between Ziyech and Ashraf Hakimi on the right hand side of the defense line and up front has been quite fantastic. The understanding, the chemistry has been quite impressive. So, in all ramifications, wisdom, Morocco remains my best team so far. It's yet to be seen what they're going to do against almighty Portugal.
Right. Over to you, President. Your best team so far.
Okay, I never thought I was going to ever say this, but my best team so far has been, guess who? The Three Lions of England. Amazingly, amazingly, you know why? You know why?
Because of Saka.
No, not
Because of
that, not
Saka.
that, not that. Come on, not
It's
that.
Arsenal
See,
man.
this is the reason. This is the reason. England have always never lacked talent. Okay, but there's something about this crop of players that I like. I follow their progress. The team has been built. I've seen the team building since Gareth Southgate took charge. The last World Cup, in the Euros. I've seen their progress, and I like how that, despite the fact that they are stars who play in rival clubs, they don't allow the club rivalry affect their team spirit when they come to camp. And this wasn't the case in the so-called golden generation of English football, where we had the Frank Lampards, the Steven Gerrard, Michael Owens, Wayne Rooney and co. Lampard and John Terry were quoted saying that they believe that one of the reasons why that team didn't gel and achieve so much was because they allowed their club rivalries to affect their game when they came to England. But if you look at this team right now, nobody cares if you play for Spurs or if you play for Liverpool or if you play for Arsenal or Manchester United or Chelsea. If once you put on that shirt, you're an English player, and they seem to have a generation of expectations on their head, on their shoulders, sorry, and they want to, perform. So I like the hunger, I like the drive, and the fact that it's basically a youthful side is been a lot of is very impressive. You don't have many veterans in that side, apart from Harry Kane. You can say there are several veterans in that team, So for me, it's really, really encouraging to see these young boys, play wonderful football. We've seen extraordinary talent. We have the most exciting teenager in world football in Bellingham, and it's been amazing. It's been amazing. And they remind me of Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. They remind me of Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. And I enjoy the way they play. I enjoy their fights. I enjoy their drive. Look at how Harry Kane has been playing for others. Harry Kane makes others become better. I mean, you don't get to see this every day. So I'm excited for England, and I wish that they can go all the way, sincerely. Then of course there's the Bukayo Saka part.
Say the truth and shame the devil.
That's one concentration. Yes, thank you.
Right, Victoria, you can take it from here.
Well, I mean, it's going to be really difficult for me to say the team that I have been particularly impressed with in this World Cup, but I've got to give it to two teams. First of all, the Samba boys of Brazil. I mean, wisdom, we are being reintroduced to what the Portuguese call yoga bonito, the beautiful game, expression, creativity, joy in football. That is exactly what Brazil has been in this World Cup. I mean, you could see how the match and go, there was a celebration, a rhythmic celebration to go with it. I mean, this is inspiring a whole new generation to smile on the football pitch. There's so much joy watching them play, and just dancing on the head tops of anyone who has ever tried to silence their right to self-expression. Amazing stuff from the Brazilians. You've got to give it to them. And of course, I cannot get past the blue side of France tournament for them. You start with the man, the OG himself, Olivier Giroud, most international goal in Brazil history. I mean, the country has got top men, Thierry Henry, Griezmann, Michel Platini, Zinedine Zidane, Karim Benzema, but is AC Milan striker Olivier Giroud hogging the headlines. I mean, it has been such an impressive tournament for this man, and walking into that Hall of Fame, delivering a world of pain to the Polish national team is something that I never saw the French side doing. And of course, putting that behind them, the curse of the champions being knocked out in the group stage. They've advanced to the quarterfinals, and with the way they are playing, you might want to say it's almost certain that France will be going all the way. For Kylian Mbappe, I say it many times. Many persons say that this World Cup is symbolizing the end of
Network. The network is holding him back. I hope he finds out quickly.
Yes, I
Okay,
guess so.
okay,
oh
okay. He's on.
okay. I don't know where I don't know where I don't know where you
Yeah,
stopped
yeah.
hearing
We
because I
stopped at
kept on going.
Kylian Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe.
Okay, yeah, I talked about how
Okay,
Kylian
yeah, I talked about
Mbappe
how
has
Kylian
been
Mbappe
so
has
impressive.
been so.
Um, in this tournament, you look at his goal contributions, 9 World Cup goals. He's already overtaken Brazil great Pele. I mean, no one saw this coming. And with the way he's playing, you might want to say he's definitely going to be going for the Golden Boot. France have been playing so well in this tournament, and themselves and Brazil will be the standout teams for me.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Victor. One. Okay, he's off again. I wanted to throw Chuku in. Henry, Henry, can you hear me? Okay. Henry perhaps battling with his network, obviously. But while he comes back in, we will be definitely getting into the uh, would I say the more serious part of this conversation. Who makes the semi-finals? Now we Reliance, you're saying something? Okay, okay. So who makes the semi-finals? Is now the big question. Now we have 8 of these teams who have progressed to the quarterfinal finals. Like you guys have mentioned, I would say, clearly you all have pointed out like, they deserve to be the teams here. They deserve to be in this particular round. I mean, look at the performance of England, France, Morocco, Portugal, Argentina themselves, who did not start on a very good note. Netherlands, Croatia, and then the Samba Boys of Brazil. But let me just let you guys take over that particular table. 4 teams, only 4 teams would be make it to the semi-finals. As much as we love the other teams, only 4 would make it to the semi-finals. Belgium and the others did not make it. By the way, I would ask you guys the most disappointing team. But then because of our time, let's delve straight into the semi-finals and maybe we'll wrap up with the disappointments of the tournament. Uh, let's head straight into it. I'll start with you, President. Based on what you've seen for the very first game, not the, is it the first game? I might not exactly, I would have to confirm that. But let me start with England and France. Now let me paint a little picture. If you follow maybe BBC, Metro, some of those people, some of those who believe it's an England affair, they already are in the blues. And you don't want to let the English media deceive you sometimes that you're so good. But then that's what it sounds like here. But it's big business in England. Football lives here. Every English fan I know is looking forward to that day and how their young, beautiful, brilliant boys are going to torment the French national team. But you take nothing away from France and their own, set of players. But from your perspective, the Pereira one of sports, President, let me get your thoughts. England versus France, who makes it to the semi-final?
Okay, you actually threw to me the toughest question. England versus France is the closest to call, okay, among all the quarterfinal fixtures. And I think it's going to be the fixture of the round, okay? But it's English media hype aside, okay? The hype aside, I asked a question this morning. I said, if you remove Mbappe from the French national team setup, would you fancy France that much? That's the question. Then I asked the question, who would you say is the best player in the English national team? That question is actually difficult to answer. You can't just pick one player. So that tells
Maguire.
you that
Jude Bellingham.
yeah, Jude Bellingham has been standout, but you can still give me like 4, 5 names. Okay, now if you remove one person from the English starting lineup, it will not distort their game that much. But if you remove Mbappe, it would distort their game a lot. So that tells you that England have more outlets for goals. England have a more balanced team. I dare say that England and Portugal have the most balanced teams in this tournament. England and Portugal. England more so. So it's on paper. On paper, if you ask me, England look like a team. Barring the brilliance of Mbappe, England look like a team that can hurt France, that would control that midfield, that would have a better defense, and also have a decent attack. France game plan is get the ball to Mbappe. Mbappe, do your magic. That's their game plan. So it's not as simple as this. That's why I say it's very difficult to call. I won't put my money on England. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I like money, but on paper, England look like a more balanced side than the French side. If we had an N'Golo Kante and a Paul Pogba in that side, then we would be having a more balanced discussion. Then I would have said easily France. But now that France midfield is shaky. Is not the midfield you can say that will stand Declan Rice, Henderson, and Bellingham. So for me, I'll go with England, but I won't put my money on England. But I'll go with England.
That's very surprising. You can't
Yeah,
give
just
you
take it
can't
from there.
you
England,
can't
France.
give you can't give England all the accolades and end up not putting your money on it. If you strongly believe that England is that balanced and they can give France a run for their money, then you should be able to stake, should be able to clear up your bank account and stake on it, knowing that you're going to earn a lot of money. The confidence should be there. If you can't put your money on it, then definitely you don't really believe that England can do all that you've said that they can do. See, the thing is, I think both teams are balanced wisdom. It is a close game, so this is one of the exciting one of the exciting English national teams I've seen in a long while. I will agree that the team is somewhat balanced, right? So you don't have so much of individual stars, and they have exciting young talent as well. The English media hype is always there, right? But I think the crop of players in that English national team at this point deserve whatever hype that they've been given. Jude Bellingham is a complete box-to-box midfielder I enjoy watching, even in Dortmund. Phil Foden, the less I say about him, the better. We've seen what he's been able to do under Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. Even in this national team, recall that I think in the second game, he was excluded, and there were so many calls and so many clamors. Why didn't you bring in the man? Because you needed creativity. Mason Mount, equally very brilliant for Chelsea. And then go to the midfield, look at Jordan Henderson. Harry Maguire is a different animal entirely from the Harry Maguire of Manchester United. Luke Shaw has always been the person to shore up the defense line for England, even right from Euros, was very fantastic, you know. Then these days, so it's a complete team, right? And most of the players in that team are exciting to watch. They deserve most of the hypes they've been getting, even though the excesses are still there. But coming up against a France national team, wisdom is it's I don't know. I'm looking for the right word to qualify it. So in that French national team, you take off Mbappe, that team can play. I think because of the flashes of the dribbles and the runs that Mbappe makes each time he's on the ball and the cameras are on him, makes people to believe that if you take off Mbappe from that team is flat. People have been able to underrate the contribution of Anthony Griezmann in that team. That man plays a free role, and the way he orchestrates that attack is quite brilliant. Yes, he will square up those passes to Mbappe, he will square up those passes to Ousmane Dembele and Olivier Giroud himself. I mean, that man is like the dictator of that midfield going forward for France. And then Adrien Rabiot is an experienced player. So all in all, you are looking at a French national team that have more experienced head at this level compared to what the English national team, would possess. Like I said, they have exciting, brilliant young stars. But when it comes to the big level, probably they've learned from the final at the Euro against Italy, But I mean, look at the players we have in the French national team and the level of football they've been able to play over the years. So it's more or less a balanced game, right? It depends at this point. It depends on what Gareth Southgate is going to do with his side, and also what Didier Deschamps is going to do. I favor the French national team to go through based on experience, based on high level of football, and based on the kind of players, the experience of the players that they have in their mix. I favor them to go through over the English national team. Maybe I could talk a little bit about Netherlands, Argentina, or maybe I should leave that one for someone else to contribute. But quickly,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay. All right.
I just wanted to start with the biggest game, so everybody would have their say. Victor, let me get to you.
I mean, I almost
Henry's back.
everything Reliance has said. When you talk about the experience, no doubt France have got it. And in recent times, the English have found it quite hard to beat the French side. I think they've lost only once. France have lost only once to England. That's since 1999. They've gone to either it's always going to be a France winning or drawing. I know they've won 5 and drawn 2 since 1999. So it shows you that the record, the history goes the way of France. When it comes to the World Cup experience, you have the likes of Mbappe, Antoine Griezmann, Olivier Giroud. These are already World Cup winners, and they already have that experience. They've made it to the finals in 2 of the last 4 tournaments, including its 2018 championship victory. For England, they've made it beyond the quarterfinals just once in that stretch, and that was placing 4th 4 years ago. So the defending champions seem poised to get the job done and advance to the semi-finals for me. Yes, you cannot take anything away from what Gareth Southgate has done with the Three Lions squad, but at the same time, this French side it feels like a breath of fresh air. Even with the injury worries, there's no N'Golo Kante, there's no Paul Pogba in that team, there's no Karim Benzema, yet there's no problem because the young boys are getting the job done. Jules Koundé has just turned into a different monster entirely. Seeing him play, that was in their last match with the gold chain on. It looked like stuff of royalty, It was more like a royal play from the Barcelona man. And I think Didier Deschamps has done a fantastic job with this French team, and I really see them getting through to the semi-finals ahead of England. It's going to be a tight one, perhaps penalties to decide it, but I think France would advance.
Okay, thank you, Victor. Praise. Your thoughts on England and France, the England and France game? Praise, are you there? Okay.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
All right, go ahead. Your thoughts. England versus France. Who goes through?
I think it's going to be a very tight game because if you're looking at both sides, they have similar way of playing when they come up against the possession-based side. A lot of persons have been clamoring
Wow.
for God of 4 for him
Okay,
because if you look, yes, if you look at the English team, they've got great attacking players and the likes of Phil Foden, the likes of Jack Grealish, Marcus Rashford, Callum Wilson has not even had so many games. You have Harry Kane, you have Bukayo Saka. I mean, you have a lot of talent. But when you go back to a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2, whatever you call it, it's going to be very difficult for these attacking players to express themselves. So the big question is, will Gareth Southgate go back to a 3-5-2 formation against a French team that can adapt to any tactical change within the game, irrespective of the proceedings? You have Didier Deschamps. He's very experienced. He won the World Cup in 1998 and also won it with his team as the gaffer in the year 2018. He's looking as if he's going to win it again. A lot of persons said the World Cup curse is going to happen again, but France is the only team that can destroy the World Cup curse by themselves because they are the ones that started it. It's a very technical team. I love how they are being set up. You see fast defenders when playing high line, recovering to get the balls, putting up tackles. In a particular game, Konate, the defensive center back of Liverpool, he made up to 11 tackles. That's because the way the French side are set up, they can handle emergencies in the game. The English team, they depend on counter attacks a lot. We saw it when they decided to play a possession style against Iran. They struggled in that game a little bit before the keeper got injured. They struggled a little bit. But when they changed to a counter attacking style, basically you see Jude Bellingham dropping deep on par with Declan Rice. Once he tackles the ball, he moves upfield, runs through the tears, zigzag runs, and he gives it to Hurricane who drops back. And when Hurricane finds someone coming into the box, you see a goal. They did that against Wales. They also did that against Senegal. They are very fast on the break. And I think the French side, they are going to handle those moments because you have Varane, experience, calm, very fast. You have Konate. When he's not playing, you have Upamecano. Then I want to talk on Rabiot. Rabiot has been so excellent. Ever since his failed move to Manchester United, he's been doing so well for Juventus. This is his role in the team. Rabiot drops to the left back position when Hernandez moves upfield. He's good with his tackles. And once he tackles cleanly, he spreads the ball fast to Griezmann. Griezmann is often found on the defensive third, hanging around the defensive third. He makes a lot of tackles as well. These players, they are capable of progressing the ball. In England, you have a box-to-box midfielder in Jude Bellingham. He can progress the ball quite well. But in the French team, I can point out three players that can do better than what Jude Bellingham is doing. So I feel the battle is going to be won and lost in midfield. Because when you lose the ball, what happens? The transitional moment. That's when you see the beauty of the French side. Mbappe is making those runs into the empty spaces. You have Dembele on the other side. You have Olivier Giroud dropping deep to attract Maguire and Stones. It will happen because he's got the physique, he's got the personality to draw the center backs. And once you allow the wingers to run into the channels, it's going to hurt England because their defenders, they are not fast. Their defenders are prone to errors. They made a lot of errors against Senegal, but because Senegal couldn't capitalize on those errors, they weren't able to score. Against France, they're going to make those errors because if you allow Maguire to be comfortable on the ball, he makes a lot of mistakes. We've seen it at Manchester United. I've seen it so far at the World Cup. When you have a slow tempo football in the World Cup, he's still making mistakes. He's made a lot of errors. Yes, he has defended in the box, but when he's on the ball, he makes errors. Declan Rice has also made errors. So I feel the French side, they're not going to go more for the ball. They're going to sit back and attack England when they lose those balls in the middle of the park. And they've been so good with their transitional moments. That's where the game is going to be won and lost.
All right, all right. Thank you so much, Praise, for that very tactical analysis. But let's quickly move on to another game. Arguably the next, in quote, bigger. You want to say the bigger game? Maybe this is bigger, but another big game. Yeah, fine. Argentina will be up against the Netherlands. Um, President, you can go first. Argentina versus Netherlands. That game is definitely another exciting game to look forward to.
Okay, we have an exciting fixture there, but I think it's going to be a boring and low scoring game. Excuse me. It's going to be a boring and low scoring game because the Netherlands have a very solid defense and they don't look very promising in attack. While the Argentines also are not a very high scoring team so far as we've seen. So I think it's going to be more of like an end to a midfield battle, end to end kind of thing. But I believe that the Netherlands will sit back and try to soak in pressure and catch Argentina on the break. But by and large, we would have to depend and hope that Lionel Messi will make the difference in that game. And even if it's just one goal, one goal, he just give it one goal. But it's gonna be a very boring game. I don't see that high scoring encounter. We would have a very low, maybe 1-0, 2-1 kind of thing. But for me, I would say I want Argentina to win, but from the way it's looking, Argentina have not convinced me enough from what I've seen. Netherlands have looked the more solid unit. So my heart is with Argentina, but my head says it's going to be Netherlands.
Okay, I'll get your four teams later on. Henry
Yes.
or Google, Henry, can you hear me? Henry, okay, your voice is a bit low, but let's get your thoughts. Argentina versus the Netherlands. Your voice is very low. I don't know where that's coming from exactly.
Can you hear me now?
Great, great. They're good. You can go on now. It's back again. We can't hear you. We can't really hear you. Must be
Can you hear me?
we can hear you now.
Okay. It's a very tricky tie because when you look at, let me start off with the Netherlands. You're looking at a side that has barely faced anything defensively. I know when you look at the defense line or the back line, you're talking about Virgil van Dijk, Nathan Ake, Jordan Timbers, and even the man on the bench, Stefan De Vrij, the Inter Milan centre back. You look at strength in depth and in quality in the Dutch defense, and um, that defense hasn't necessarily faced much of a stress or much of a strain, maybe barring the game against Ecuador, where Estupinian and Ena Valencia and Co did actually stretch the Dutch defense and ran in between the lines, and they could easily have lost that game. But you want to look at their round of 16 against the United States, possession from the US, passing just in front of the back three, and it was very easy for the Netherlands to cope and defend situations against the United States. And but you also look at them going up front. It's a different story. The Netherlands are a side that aren't necessarily going to hoop or hit the ball long. Yes, they've been set up to be counter attacking in a way in this World Cup, but I mean there's a serious transition to their play with how important Frankie, Dumfries, and Daily Blind are to the Dutch moving the ball forward. They try as much as possible to progress the ball on the ground and progressing Gakpo, Memphis Depay, and Steven Bergwijn up front. Players who are very mobile and have very quick feet and work well with the ball on the run and move well with the ball and carry the ball very well and are very tricky customers. So I think with the Netherlands is a different proposition based on what Argentina has been used to facing. Argentina has faced sides that are content with sitting deep and hooking the ball up long. Mexico didn't give much of a threat going forward in the second game. So I think Mexico we expected to be much of an issue or problem for Argentina and didn't turn out to be that way. Then you look at the Polish side, they offered little or nothing going forward, always looking long for Lewandowski. The Australians did offer a bit of a threat, but mostly through the aerial balls, and they were comfortably dealt with by Nicolas Otamendi. Yes, there were one or two chances for Australia, but I think the Argentine defense coped favorably against the Australians, but with the Dutch, it's something different. You have mobility, something like what the Saudis offered in the second half, and the Argentines struggled to cope with it, especially Christian Romero in that game. There's a lot of mobility from the Dutch side. They want to transition, they want to play the ball out from the back. That's the Dutch way of playing, and I think that would be pose a very difficult situation for the Argentines. It's a matchup I'm actually looking forward to. I want to see how Argentina is actually going to cope against the Dutch attack, how fluid they are, how mobile they are, because you're not talking about static players, you're talking about very mobile players, players that are going to drag your defenders in and around the place, and the ball is going to move on the ground and going to be very sweet. Then on the part of the Argentines, like I said, the Dutch defense hasn't been tested well enough. Now you have a Messi who is an amazing runner, who is a dribbler, and as much as we might not see much of those runs today, he's smart, he's readapted his game. He drops deep now, he finds his teammates. He's more like almost like a quarterback, although he hasn't fully evolved into the quarterback role. And you also have a midfield that's very stable with the likes of Paredes, not Paredes, Rodrigo de Paul and Enzo Fernandez nowadays. And with the way those guys are playing currently, it's very easy to see them enveloping or keeping Frankie de Jong short, because Frankie de Jong is like the heart of the Dutch midfield in this World Cup if you watch them very closely. So I think looking at the Argentine side, you see a side that if they can capitalize on the strengths of this three men, the Paul, Enzo Fernandez, and Lionel Messi, and also the runs, the smart movement and runs from the likes of Molina and Acuna down the wings as the fullbacks. Julian Alvarez or Lautaro Martinez, whoever Scaloni decides to start up front, and whoever he decides to put by the left, on the left hand side of the attack, if they're able to move and drag the Dutch defense out of space, out of position, I think Netherlands will have a very tough test to deal with. Look, but one advantage the Dutch do have is the man Louis van Gaal, their coach. This man, Van Gaal will probably play this game in 6 different scenarios like before going on to the pitch. We've seen it from the first game against Senegal down to the round of 16 tie against the United States, and which is a very important factor. I think Scaloni, in a way, has somewhat been built in this World Cup by the brilliance of one man, Lionel Messi. Fantastic in the round of 16 against Australia. I think was a major defining factor in that game. That game could easily have ended 3 or 4-1 in Argentina's favor if Lautaro Martinez and 30 other players were as clinical as they should have been in front of goal. Against Poland, he did miss a penalty, but I mean, man of the match performance, five clear-cut chances created, and his overall play was fantastic. Even against Mexico, he stepped up when his team needed him. He delivered a goal and an assist, and it saw them through against Mexico. So I think if the runners are able to drag the Dutch defense out of position, actually put them on that pressure that they have not yet been under this World Cup, with the brilliance of Messi and also the man Enzo Fernandez in the middle of the park, one of the unsung heroes in this World Cup. I think Argentina has a very good chance. It's a very tricky and a very tough test. It's going to be a very tight match. Fine details what is going to win this match for whoever is going to go through, and it's very difficult to actually pitch your tent with anybody. Personally, for me, I just think it's to sit down and watch the match and enjoy and see whoever goes through. But like I said, it's going to be a very tactical contest, and very few details, fine details are going to decide the winner of this match or whoever goes through. I'm actually looking at a game that could probably go into extra time or stretch as far as penalties.
Okay, thank you so much, Henry, for that one. Relax, I'm coming to you.
Argentina
Brazil
go
versus
lose.
no. Argentina, Netherlands. You guys know your mind. Let's focus on the Samba boys. Brazil versus Croatia.
Well, wisdom. I think that match is a match that looks a bit more open, a bit easier, or should I say, relatively easier for someone to pick a winner in Brazil. Brazil made 9 changes to their last group game against Morocco. They were defeated by the Moroccans. Quite impressive. Vincent Abubakar, a legend of the country at this point. But to send a statement, to make a message, or to send a message, the players regrouped. They played in the round of 16. Know what happens, right? They were dancing all around. They enjoyed themselves in the field of play, and it ended the way it ended. Brazil have a team that if Individual brilliance doesn't do it for them. Teamwork will do it for them. I know Neymar can be silly at times because in the last matchup, despite them winning in a very large margin, there were calls and runs that Neymar made that he shouldn't have. There were passes that he refused to release, which he should have released on time. Neymar will always be Neymar, right? But it's very pivotal and instrumental to the progress of the Samba boys so far. At least he didn't play the last two matches at the group stage, but anytime he's on the field of play, his impact can never be underemphasized. So
Yeah.
they play as a team where they have to play as a team, and individual brilliance comes in where it has to come in. Vinicius Junior, Real Madrid, his impact for Real Madrid and for Brazil almost at the same level. Defense lineup, you have players that have the advantage in terms of playing at the big level. Casemiro at the holding midfield point, the man has seen it all in football, club wise and national team wise. So Thiago Silva, I mean, you can go on and mention the names, and these names are not just playing as separate units. They play as a single unit when they have to, and moments of individual brilliance also come to the fore each time they are with the ball. But for Croatia, the reverse, or it's contrary to Croatia. I look at that Croatia midfield, and I mean, I feel like it's too slow because the guys they are aging. We saw that in a couple of matches at the group stage. Even when they played Japan at the round of 16, Luka Modric will always be Luka Modric. Those killer passes will come, but he can't be so mobile and cover more grounds as much as you would have loved him to. Then Mateo Kovacic was the outright culprit when you're talking about pace, because you expected him to cover the attack, cover the midfield, cover the attack, and also shield the defense line because of the position he played, allowing Luka Modric more free roll, allowing Luka Modric to roam. But that wasn't the case. And up front, Brozovic. So that team is a little bit too slow. And will they be able to cope with the pace, coming in from the likes of Vinicius? Will they be able to cope with the runs that Neymar will give? Will they be able to cope with the onslaught that will be released or unleashed by Brazil? I honestly doubt. That match looks like the only match that I can close my eyes and say Brazil is winning this one, and they are winning it maybe not very easily. That would be a bit disrespectful to last World Cup runners up, but I think they're going to have less of a challenge, when facing Croatia, unless something else happens. Because when Poland played, who did they play at the round of 16? France, right? When Poland played France, there was a little bit of a step up. So against Argentina, Poland was flat, like totally flat. Argentina dominated the match in its entirety, and underperforming Argentina dominated the match in its entirety. But against France, I mean, you could see Poland holding on to possession, all right, contesting position with the French national team. Of course, Didier Deschamps can be very pragmatic when it has to be, just to get the result. So unless something like that happens for Croatia, I think it's going to be something close to a one-sided affair. Brazil to go through.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Of course, that was referring to the 3-1 thumping of Poland by France. Let's go to Victor. Because of time, else I would have gone around for that, but because of our time, we have to still go around to take predictions. Victor, Morocco versus Portugal. It's supposed to concern everybody, but because of our time,
Yeah, it is
let me get your
Africa
thoughts.
United. Africa
I know,
United versus Portugal.
I know,
I mean,
Africa
the
United, have you?
Exactly. The whole of Africa are solidly, the whole of Africa is solidly behind Morocco. The Atlas Lions have already punched above their weight, and many persons did not expect them to get this far. But the fact that they've made it to this very point in time, but wisdom, I've got to be very honest with you. I don't see Morocco actually beating the Portuguese team. Yesterday, we saw, I mean, one thing you've got to talk about Portugal is the fact that there's the phase off. There's the phase off of the old generation, and you can see the integration of new players, fresh players. Cristiano Ronaldo kept on the bench. His replacement gets a hat trick, massive. Rafael Leao starts off on the bench, comes into the game. 5 minutes later, he gets a goal. Two goals for the man. He's just 23. Ronaldo's replacement now, Goncalo Guedes. I mean, he's just 23 as well. Three goals and an assist. And you also have got a certain Yao Felix, who is also 23, who already has got a goal in this World Cup as well. So it's been, I think, two goals now for Yao Felix, if I'm not mistaken. It's been impressive for the Portuguese young stars. And as much as I want Morocco to win, I really do not see them getting past the Seleção of Portugal, because the Portuguese have played beautiful football. Fernando Santos has done so well with bringing in the new boys, and of course, the old legs are still delivering. We saw Pepe 39 and still getting the goals. I mean, there's a Ronaldo. You've got the X factor. You've got an X factor in your team that could always step up, whether on the bench or it starts the game and deliver the goods for your team. So I don't really see Morocco winning them. But regardless, I mean, if it ends this way for Morocco, they deserve all the praises that they receive. You've got to give them their flowers. If they find a way to beat Portugal, trust me, I'm gonna be painting my body with the colors of the Moroccan flag.
You're gonna be a Moroccan.
Okay. By the way, I didn't drop this earlier. It's a bit late. For the listeners, maybe I'll leave it to the semi-finals. Um, but anyone who could comfortably predict, uh, if you're watching this maybe later or now, anyone who can comfortably predict the teams that would make the semi-final will get 5K worth of data. You get 5K in cash if you want to buy data with it. But of course, I'm hoping that would help out with the data. Any, of course, not those who are in the session. I mean, those who are listening, those who are listening, anyone who could actually get the four teams that will be making it, to just go to the comment section and drop it. The four teams that will be making it to the semi-finals, and you will win yourself 5K. That could help out with data and a couple of things. So because of our time, we'll go around. The four teams you think would be in the semi-final. Praise Letty. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Praise. The four teams you think will be in the semi-final.
Okay, I'll start off with the England versus the France national team. I think Gareth Southgate knows by now that they should be in England, so France goes through easily. Croatia, I think if you're looking at the other aspects of the national team, I'm talking about their exciting fans, their models in colorful outfits. I would have wanted them to stay, but they have no chance against Brazil. Morocco versus Portugal, I think this is a tricky game. Morocco, they are very good defensively, and against Switzerland, Portugal, they found a lot of spaces. The rear guard was not really organized. So if Morocco can keep Portugal silent, I know they can. We have Saiz. He has played. He plays for Wolves. Very experienced defender. He knows how to lead the back line. Hakim Ziyech is doing a lot of good work, dropping deep, starting off attacks. So that game is not totally in favor of Portugal because Morocco, they are very, very good defensively. I see it going to extra time, the Portugal versus the Morocco game, and it will be decided on penalties.
Okay, okay,
Morocco goes through.
All right, so that makes it up. So France,
Then the last one,
Brazil, Morocco.
Netherlands, Argentina. Netherlands goes through as well.
Okay, France, Brazil, and Morocco, Morocco and Netherlands. All right, Henry.
Yeah, wisdom. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So for the semifinal, yeah, let me start from the Croatia Brazil. I think that one is, like Ryan says, the most straightforward of them all. You want to pitch your tent to Brazil. I mean, you want to give them an 80% chance of making it through, and you look at them as the odds-on favorite in that game. I have to say Brazil definitely for me. You go to England, France, a very tricky game. Southgate is definitely going to be pragmatic, and we could also have a situation whereby Deschamps is pragmatic because we know Deschamps is not afraid to sit back and defend and do whatever is necessary to get the victory. I think I'll just pitch my tents with England in this one. I think England will walk personally for me because you look at
Okay,
their squad
England.
and without the colony for them. So I think I'll pitch my Dutch versus Argentina, Netherlands versus Argentina. I'm going to go with the Netherlands for this one because I mean the Argentines are yet to fully convince me, and
Okay, let's go with the next because of your network.
the Dutch
The
look like
other
a
two
well-oiled
names.
unit, and I mean the man sitting on the dugout, Louis van Gaal. You can't buy that amount of experience in the market. I mean the man is hugely experienced, and he's been at this stage before in the World Cup, and I think that I think Louis van Gaal. Oh, you
Henry,
mean
just mention the two
the
teams because
two favorites
your
I talked
network is
about
really
before? Okay, Netherlands. Then for me, the last between Morocco and Portugal, I'm going for Portugal.
okay. So it's England, Netherlands, Portugal, and who wins between Croatia and Brazil?
Okay, I said the other two teams. I'm going for
Ah, okay. I want to believe that
Brazil.
you've got Brazil for that. Okay, okay. Thank you so much. Reliant,
Brazil.
Present. Can I go ahead?
your four teams. Yes, you can. Sure.
My fourth team, France to beat England. The experience is just so much for that English national team to cope. Netherlands to beat Argentina. So Argentina is a Messi team, and the experience at the back line of Netherlands as well as the coach should be able to curtail the excesses of Messi. Virgil van Dijk is there, Nathan Ake is there, not one of the biggest defenders though, but I mean, we have a Virgil van Dijk leading the defense line, they should be able to curtail. Then, of course, talk about Frankie de Jong at the middle of the park, then the coach himself, Louis van Gaal. And the problem they had before was having the attackers impose themselves on defense line of their opponent. And we saw Kodigapo and Memphis Depay doing that in their last match. So Netherlands to go through. Brazil, Croatia, Brazil to go through. I've said a lot about that one, so no need repeating myself because I'll basically be saying the same thing. So Brazil to go through. Then the last one will be
Morocco, Portugal.
Morocco, Portugal. Dicey, but I think Portugal is going to go through. So Portugal is not going to do all that stuff that Spain did, passing around and passing around. You have Bruno Fernandes. You have a couple of players in that team that can eat deep into your defense line, that can take on players, that can play the playmakers role. Bruno Fernandes is there. You know, there's William Cavallo. There are guys that can basically try as much as they can to break from the heart of the defense or from the wing. So, yep, congratulations, Morocco. I'm proud of Morocco. I'm going to be supporting Morocco, but trust me, it's Portugal to go through.
All right.
On
Thank you
paper,
so much.
maybe.
Thank you so much, Reliance. Victor, tell me Morocco will go through.
Well, I mean, I said earlier that I see Portugal going through. For me, I'm just going to go straight to the teams that will be advancing. I see Portugal going through. I see France going through. I see Brazil beating Croatia. And I also see Argentina narrowly edging out Netherlands. So you have Brazil, you have Argentina, you have Portugal, and then you have France.
Okay, Prince Letty, over to you. Prince, can you hear me? Your four teams.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I got
Okay.
your four teams: France, Brazil,
I said
Morocco,
I think
and
Brazil,
Netherlands. Good. All right.
Morocco,
All right. I think
Netherlands.
the
Yeah.
person I had not gotten was okay. He'd already gotten it. It was President and Zita and the others. All right, guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Sorry we overshot a little bit. Um, Thank you so much. Usually, like I said, what I do is I record podcast, and then but I decided to try this out. And I think it was a nice session. Thank you for your time. I would end the broadcast here, but for those who would be going back to listen, as always, um, you could drop a comment, and you can also do how to subscribe, because we'll be having more of these sessions and more giveaways. I didn't remember earlier enough. So but then if you drop your predictions and you get the exact four teams to be in the semi-final before the first game, uh-huh, we have 5K for the win. If there are five winners, we'll probably look for how to split it. But then, of course, we have 5K for one winner for this particular one. But thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for your time. And we hope from this part of the world, we hope England makes it through to the semi-final. Perhaps I would I'll get more smile and favors from my neighbors. They would be really happy to, buy me a couple of beer and something like that. But thank you, guys. By the way, no beer in Qatar, but here we are free to take something. Thank you, guys, and for all those watching, thank you also for joining. And I'll see you again on Sunday when we'll be having the political mix. We would have Chidube Mjoku and, of course, PDP World Chairman, Little Pope, like I call him, would also be joining us on Sunday, talk about the PDP and Labour Party's chances at the elections that will be coming up in February. Thank you, guys. Until next week again, hopefully, we'll be talking something different about the semi-finals. I want to just believe Morocco, Croatia, Argentina, and England will be in the semi-finals. But of course, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much, guys.
All right.